Yeah, 49'd her. It's where I turn around and I bend over and put my arms through my legs, and she does her own thing.
Welcome to the Dr. DC podcast. My name is Colin, and next to me is the doctor himself.
Hello.
And as always, we're joined by our producer, Richard.
Ahoy, hoy.
Each week, we talk about the weird and wonderful world of DC while fielding questions from listeners like you. While I take the witty humor to Michael Scott level, good or bad.
Winky face.
Winky face.
Yeah. I like that. I was cute.
Is this somebody wrote that, or you?
Why don't you keep reading and find out?
This what Colin does was courtesy of iTunes user Converge241 alongside a 5-star review. They go on to say, and before they do that, I'm going to say, I'm giving you a 2-star review on your name for iTunes because you pretty much could have just used your regular name.
Maybe it means more than you
Maybe
know.
his name is Converge. Maybe he's the 241st of his line.
Oh, that's fucking badass.
Anyways, they go on to say, this is a great podcast that combines a knowledgeable deep dive into the DC universe mixed with pop culture and witty humor. Do I really need another comics podcast? You may ask. The answer is yes, you do. Check it out.
Yeah. Oh, thank you. That was very
that's
nice.
awesome.
We've been getting a lot of really nice ones lately. I like it.
Hey, if you
Just waiting for the other shoe to drop.
Yeah, if you guys want to start giving us some 5-star reviews and then just say terrible, awful things about us, it's still a 5-star review.
Is this John Gabris' podcast now?
Yeah, that's the high and mighty. Well, that's kind of where I stole this whole thing from.
Shh.
And in
Came up with it. That's where I came up with it from. What?
That's where Copy came up with it from.
And in news, DC's live-action Titan series will feature Jason Todd.
Yeah, so we know that Dick.
Super Todd!
No.
Super Todd is coming to the movies!
That sounds like a.
You sound really sure of yourself, Todd.
Okay, everyone.
If nothing else, I'm sure of myself.
We didn't want to announce it this way, but this is our film that we're trying to get greenlit. Super Todd Goes to the Movies.
I've been in a lot of movies before, but they were usually not something I agreed to.
Okay. No.
They were called bluff films?
No.
Is that the word?
No. Why does this always happen?
It was
You
all
did
fun,
this.
and then they killed a girl.
Sounds a lot like a superhero movie, to be honest.
Yeah.
Right.
Except for that everyone cries at the end.
So we knew that Dick Grayson was going to play Robin in this show. And,
Sorry, you knew that Dick Grayson was going to play Robin in that show?
oh, sorry.
Come on, Doc. Get
Get
it
your
together.
shit together.
Oh, I'm sorry. Something threw me off.
Whatever could that be?
Yeah, Dick Grayson was going to be like one of the main characters of the show as Robin, played by Brenton Thwaites, who does not wear hand-me-downs.
Brenton Thwaites does not wear hand.
You know what? If we can get him on Twitter to confirm whether or not
He wears
has
hand-me-downs?
ever worn hand-me-downs, I'd be really psyched to know.
He's not that big of an actor. I feel like...
Hashtag hand me down or hashtag let me down.
Okay, yeah, sure. For Brenton Thwaites.
Or
who's
hashtag
clearly listening.
Thwaits me up, or hashtag Thwaits
Before
me
you go.
down.
Oh, sorry.
Thwaites me up before you go.
At any rate, there's I
wanna
think
be
one of the
wearing
episodes of
clothes.
Titans is actually called Jason Todd. So, yeah, presumably this show would still take place before
1943.
the death of Jason Todd. So maybe this is about like him becoming the new Robin. So as like Dick Grayson moves out of that role and starts becoming Nightwing, then maybe it's about you see Jason Todd becoming the new Robin. I don't know exactly what the setup is, but yeah, it looks like that
JT?
character is going to be part of that show.
Cool. So Linda Carter to receive star on Hollywood Walk of Fame.
Yeah, I feel like a couple of like longtime, people in pop culture are getting their due on the Walk of Fame. Mark Hamill just got his. And Linda Carter, who played Wonder Woman in the 1970s
She's still
TV
alive?
show.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, just long enough so that you can start talking about all the terrible things that happened to her when she was Wonder Woman.
Yeah, that's
What you're thinking is correct.
a new like development. She's finally started talking about it. Too.
Give the brat a star, then she'll shut her mouth.
Well, I don't think that's why they're doing it. I think she's using
Hollywood.
I think she's taking advantage of the attention
Hollywood.
of the Walk of Fame star, though, to then tell her own
Which is
story,
good.
which is good. Yeah,
Did you ever watch those original? Like,
the old Wonder Woman
Yeah.
ones. Yeah, I mean they're super cheesy.
wow. I mean, for given its time, was it okay?
Yes. That was a weird era for TV because that's around the same time that there was that like
it,
Incredible
like,
Hulk TV
Gilligan's
show.
Island and stuff like that out then too, or no?
No, Gilligan's Island would have been earlier, I think. But yeah, the Wonder Woman TV show, yeah, had just like, I mean, it was very, very 70s. But no, I mean, she was great in that. It's unfortunate that what she had to endure in making that, which we're learning about right now. But it's nice to hear that she's going to receive a star on the Walk of Fame. I think it makes sense. She's the originator of that live action role long before Gal Gadot got to it, and that movie became such a huge thing. So yeah, I think that's awesome.
Hawkman will return to his own series from DC Comics this summer.
yeah.
Brand new Hawkman series is coming.
It's a fitting news piece for today too. So,
Yeah. Wait, is it?
oh, bird.
Oh, I see what you.
It's got feather.
I see what you did there.
Wings. Yeah.
Nice.
I don't get it.
You will.
You will later on.
Yeah.
You listeners have already seen the title of this episode, so you know.
Yeah, that's right.
Oh, it's called Birds of a Feather.
Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah.
Oh, spoiler alert.
No, we're in
Oh,
it.
psych.
Hawkman has played a big role in DC Metal, so we've sort of suspected for a while that they might be building up to a new Hawkman.
Is he like lead keys, or are we talking bass?
No, you'd be like, I'd say lead guitar.
Whoa.
Lead guitar in this series.
I thought Batman would be lead guitar.
No, Batman's the front man.
No, he's not.
Who's reading the series?
All right, everyone, raise your hands. Who's reading the series?
No, I just meant between the two of them. So Hawkman's getting his own series. Yeah, and
That's
this
what I
is
fucking thought. You should.
and this is like the Carter Hall Hawkman. I don't think this is like the alien, the Thanagarian one. This is the one that reincarnates, which is I think generally the one that people tend to prefer. So yeah, I'm excited to see how that spins out of DC Metal and where they go with that series. And sort of tangential to that, but not in our news, Hawk Girl is also getting some spotlight because she'll be joining the main Justice League title in June. That will be written by Scott Snyder. Oh, really? The one time I tee it up?
It's nice.
Jesus.
I'll give it to you. I'll give a dog a bone. If you guys are excited for the new Hawkman series, hashtag bird person.
And if you're not,
Then
hashtag dog person.
Person bird.
Hawk no. I don't know. Fuck you.
You really thought that through.
Batman meets Black Lightning as new Detective Comics writer takes over.
Yeah.
That is a cool ass combo.
Yeah, did you see like the
Yes.
the image that
Yeah.
they put up, like the solicitation for it? So, yeah, James Tynion is leaving Detective Comics. He's the one that's written this great arc with Clayface and his attempted redemption. But yeah, as this new writer comes in, basically, I think the first arc, I don't know if it's going to be like forever in that book, but at least the first arc is going to show Black Lightning and Batman teaming up. And in the Black Lightning miniseries that's on right now, he's mentioned like Batman and how like he's only worked with him a little bit, but he's learned some stuff from him, but he also thinks he's crazy. So it would be interesting to see how they bring those characters together in Detective
Batman
Comics.
is straight cray cray.
Oh yeah, he's right that he is, but it'll be interesting to watch them have to work together.
I
if
wonder-
he thinks he's crazy.
I wonder who his twin brother is, though.
Batman or Black Lightning?
Batman.
What?
Well, because if you want to do some historical reference, the term cray cray comes from the two brothers who were notorious for like shooting up banks and being total sociopaths.
Is that true?
Yeah.
Oh.
The brothers, they're called the Cray brothers. CRAY.
This really feels like a lie. I'm pretty sure it just came from the word crazy.
No, look at the fuck up.
Also, Colin is the one to call Batman Cray Cray, and then he was like, and Cray Cray comes from this thing. Ergo, Batman must have a twin. That's such like a leap.
Well,
Such a logical
Batman's like a total sociopath too.
He is.
With no
I'm not gonna go deep into
real
it,
care
but
about who he hurts.
he has a possible older brother
Look it up right now.
that
on
hasn't
Google.
been confirmed, but
Cray brothers.
Lincoln March.
No, I'm good.
All right,
All right.
next.
You're missing out on some cool history. Journalism is a central theme in Brian Bendis' upcoming Superman run.
Yeah, so Bendis is taking over both the Superman title and Action Comics, and what he said that he wants to focus on is like the idea of journalism. So I mean, obviously that ties into Lois's role in the series, and even in the current run of Action Comics pre-Bendis, Lois has had a pretty significant like role in terms of like the investigative side of her. But I think it'll also be a spotlight on the Clark Kent part of Superman. That's a bit we don't see all the time, but he is a journalist. He's an investigative reporter, and he and Lois are a really great team that way. So it'd be interesting to see that. Hopefully that also means we see some of those other side characters a bit more, like Perry White or Steve Lombard or Jimmy Olsen, like the other people that sort of populate the Daily Planet. So that I think that would be interesting.
Did you see some of the research behind like what he's actually done to try to make it more journalism focused?
I haven't, no.
He actually shadowed an actual journalist for a small period of time, like an Oregonian.
So he spent a lot of time in Dunkin' Donuts and napping, and
It's a journalism. It's inside bars with glasses of whiskey.
Yeah.
it's not the 60s. They're not ad men.
Trust me. I'm friends with some journalists. That's mostly what they are.
They're putting it on a ruse for you.
No. But he actually was like, he spent some time shadowing an actual journalist so he can get more of an understanding of what that is like. So I think he's actually taking it pretty seriously. And I think it's a version that you've never really seen. Like, you've never seen a focus on that. So I'm interested.
Certainly not for a while. I mean, there are individual Superman stories that I think you could point to that like really highlight that world. But yeah, to have that as like a central theme of an ongoing run of a series, I think is a pretty fresh take.
Well, and like the current climate of like fake news, I think they're going to be I think he's actually quoted to say that they're going to be like talking about misinformation and things like that.
Yeah. I mean, it's extremely timely. Yeah.
Tease of the first page of Flash War released.
Oh,
So Flash War is an event that's coming up, obviously in the Flash title.
Happens very fast.
We got a little, it's over in a flash. We got a bit of a hint in the Flash annual. It ended with the reveal that Hunter Zolomon, aka Zoom, is back in comics continuity. We haven't seen him since pre-Flashpoint. And basically he's decided that he's going to pit the two Flashes against each other, Barry Allen and Wally West. And then since that time, there's been some tension building between the two of them. And currently, Barry doesn't have powers. Wally is the Flash in Central City, and he's taking on Gorilla Grodd. But meanwhile, Barry has broken Godspeed out of Iron Heights prison, which I bet Wally won't take too kindly to. They're building these tensions between who used to be great friends and everything. So we're building to the challenge of like, who is the best Flash? Who is the greatest Flash? And I don't know what Hunter Zolomon's game is yet, and we haven't gotten there. But yeah, I'm excited to see where it goes.
Ava Duvernay?
Really? You don't know who Ava Duvernay is?
No, I do not.
What?
I do not.
Selma?
Selma who?
Like the
the
movie?
movie Selma.
Nah, I never saw it.
Oh, for fuck's sakes.
It's because he has a problem with black people.
No, not even a little bit.
So
That's a terrible thing to say.
Ava DuVernay.
That's why I
Ava
said it.
DuVernay to direct DC Comics' New Gods.
So Ava DuVernay of Selma fame, and then just directed Disney's A Wrinkle in Time, which is like their huge sort of I guess you'd call it like spring blockbuster, because it's in kind of a weird slot, but that's based on a classic novel. Basically, DC has hired her to take on the New Gods, which is Jack Kirby's Fourth World. If the Fourth World or the New Gods doesn't necessarily mean anything to you, that is a thing that Kirby created on his own when he left Marvel and came to DC, and it includes characters like Mr. Miracle, Darkseid, Highfather, Orion, Big Barda, the Female Furies, Steppenwolf, Glorious Godfrey,
Great band.
Granny Goodness, Light Ray, all of those characters,
Magic Carpet Ride.
many of which have become
Fucking
like
classics.
iconic villains of the DC universe in general began as part of Kirby's Fourth World, which was its own thing. But specifically, Steppenwolf, the villain of the Justice League movie, Darkseid, the biggest villain, biggest source of evil in all of DC Comics, and Mr. Miracle and Big Barda, I think, are probably the biggest named characters to come out of that. So the idea that DC is basically looking to this cosmic kind of realm for a film, and they've turned to a proven great director with an eye for sort of visual storytelling and things like that, I think is very exciting. And on Twitter, she was Ava Duvernay was talking about how excited she was to be taking on
It's a weird
Kirby.
combo.
It's awesome. I'm so excited for this. It's going to be.
It might bring some brevity to something that like could otherwise be like overlooked.
Yeah, I mean, like we haven't. You don't typically see the entire Fourth World. You
No.
see glimpses because it's dense. Kirby wrote a ton of stuff, and it gets very like philosophical, and it's about like the nature of existence and good and evil, and but it feels very much like mythology. So it'd be interesting to watch that come to film. But yeah, I think that's an awesome move. They just announced that this past week.
Well, get ready to hide your wallets, because Nicolas Cage is joining the cast of Teen Titans Go to the movies.
So Nicolas Cage's DC claim to fame is that he almost played Superman.
Which is
In-
like,
Huge mistake to not cast
have you
him.
ever seen
Amazing.
the actual photos of him?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that suit looked terrible, but basically they were going to make like
But he looked amazing.
they were going to make a movie called Superman Lives. Kevin Smith had like written it.
Yep.
Tim Burton was going to direct it. It was going to be Nicolas Cage. It was going to have like Brainiac and Doomsday and like crazy. It was going to be like he was going to die and then come back to life. Like it was going to be a crazy Superman movie, and the whole thing fell apart kind of spectacularly. I bring this up because poetically,
They ended
Nicolas Cage will be voicing Superman in
Good.
the Teen Titans Go.
Finally,
movie.
it's going to happen.
Nicolas Cage, who named his real life son Kal-El,
Are
is
you fucking serious?
Yeah.
He's like a crazy big.
Ugh.
he's a huge like Superman.
I'm not even
nerd.
mad. I'm just sad for that kid.
He's a big fan
He's
of
a
comic
huge
books.
Superman, but Superman specifically.
He's
But
got like the original like adventure comic like
I know he did at one point. I don't know if he had to sell it because of
money issues.
but he did have an Action Comics number.
He
one.
seems like the kind of
Yeah.
guy who would hide that though, and be like, sell everything else first.
Well, I don't know. Knowing him, there's probably a map to more treasure on the back of that. issue.
Oh, that's good. That's good. I have heard that he like I think a significant other of his is like some like wife or girlfriend or something made him get rid of some of it.
But he finally gets to be Superman. It didn't happen in the 90s, but
Was he dating Wonder Woman?
she doesn't have a whip. It's a lasso. Catwoman has a whip.
Listen, if you try hard enough, anything is a whip.
Yikes.
Wow, that speaks volumes into your life.
Hey, what's next?
We try to turn things in the office into a whip. DC launches new imprint, DC Black Label.
Black Label.
They've been
Just like
announcing
the beer. It's
It
gonna
was-
suck.
They've been announcing a bunch of
Whiskey?
No, there's like a beer called Black Label. It's awful.
Maybe you're
So there's
so
they've been
like
announcing-
Walker
You son of a bitch! They've been announcing a ton of new imprints lately. Part of that was that DC Ink and DC Zoom were those two kid-friendly imprints. They already have Young Animal, which is edited, and then like some are written by Gerard Way, and
Like the dude from My Chemical Romance?
yeah, he writes Doom Patrol, and he's the editor of Young Animal imprint for DC Comics.
Interesting.
And they announced that Sandman Universe imprint that Neil Gaiman will be working on.
Great name for a new hotel, Sandman Universe.
Is it?
They already have the Sandman, so I guess they
As a
Yeah, yeah,
hotel? Is there a hotel?
yeah, it's a
called the
hotel
Sandman?
chain in the States called the Sandman.
Is there actually? Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I've
pretty cool.
stayed in some hotels in my life.
Oh.
Yeah.
Can't wait to tune into Dr. Hotel.
Oh.
No, actually, never mind.
No.
It's called Dr. Been There, Done That.
I take it
I feel like Dr. Hotel sounds like a thing you wake up in like a pool of like ice and you've got like a missing.
No, that's Hotel Doctor.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Hey, you want to play Hotel Doctor?
Ooh, yeah.
The answer is always no. But basically, this Black Label imprint will be an opportunity to tell non-continuity DC Comics stories. So
It's called Non-Tenuity.
not just that they'll take place on a separate Earth of the multiverse, because that is still technically canon. It's just on a parallel Earth. These will be completely like out of continuity stories. So yeah, I mean, DC seems to be looking to find a way to capture different audiences, and not necessarily audiences that will always like return and read issue after issue after issue, which is why things that are out of continuity, like single graphic novels or kids comics or things that are in a sort of contained universe, are helpful. But I think it's all an effort to try and broaden their audience a little bit.
Jeffrey Dean Morgan talks the possibility of Flashpoint Batman.
Yeah, so Jeffrey Dean Morgan played Thomas Wayne in Batman v Superman.
He also was on Walking Dead. He played.
He's Negan on
Negan,
Walking
yeah.
Dead. He was the comedian in Watchmen.
You know who else he is?
He was on. Wasn't he like Katherine Heigl's husband on Grey's Anatomy before he died? Or
He
something?
was. If he is who I think he is, I think he's the dad on Supernatural.
Oh, is he actually?
I think so. Yeah.
That actually sounds about right.
Well, at any rate, because he played Thomas Wayne, and we know that in the Flashpoint universe, Thomas Wayne is the Batman. He's the murder Batman.
I'm the Batman.
I'm the murder Batman. Yeah, murder Batman. People have been asking if he'll be putting on the bat suit for this Flashpoint movie.
It is the dad from Supernatural. See, it all comes around, baby.
Something for everybody.
That's right.
But basically, he was asked if he, like people are trying to get
Yeah.
whether or not he's been cast or whatever.
God, he would be so good as Thomas Wayne.
He gave a great non-committal answer, but he basically said that like he and Zack Snyder, when they had been working on Batman v Superman, had discussed Batman, that they were both into it. He said he's aware of the character. He would love to play Batman, but
Fucking right.
he didn't confirm or deny anything, basically.
Oh my
So
God.
we're no closer to knowing.
But let's just dream a little bit about how good he would be as Thomas Wayne.
He would be incredible.
That would be the perfect casting. I would never be upset with that.
No, that actually is.
He plays that type of character really well. Like,
I mean, it's the comedian.
yeah.
Basically, he's a guy who's unhinged from his own sense of justice.
Fuck, that would be good.
Actually, that's also Negan.
Yeah. How? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
DC execs. I've never.
Execs.
I know. I've called on you before, but like no other
And you've
time.
never listened.
More than Colin being Ragman. You need to act now.
We've already sacrificed Val Kilmer and George Clooney, so please,
To the gods of Batman.
yeah, to the DC execs, we have to we have to hide those bodies.
Shit, yeah.
Discovering Krypton featurette is released.
Oh my god, it's like we just watched that.
Yeah, we actually watched that together.
Aww.
Colin's
Just
initial
the
reaction was
three of us.
bored because he's too cool for school.
Within before
boring.
the titles had come up.
And then they're
Literally
like,
10 seconds
Batman
in.
might never exist. And it's like, come on.
they
Okay.
did
Or
say
Superman,
that, 'cause
sorry,
it's
Superman.
Even though we've already touched on this before, do you want to explain what the
Yes. So Krypton, for those who haven't heard about it yet, is a show that's coming out that takes place about 200 years before.
Maybe you got off your phone, you'd have
Superman.
more fun.
It takes place on Krypton, and basically there's a time travel plot that
Thank you.
a threat has come back in time. It's Brainiac to stop Superman from ever existing, and Adam Strange has gone to the past of Krypton to try and make sure that that doesn't happen. And what they were saying in this is that it's its own show. It's not tied to any continuity, and
Can you stop?
they're going to strike out and do their own thing. And what the one voiceover said was Superman might not exist. And Colin, being like the literal motherfucker that he is, that can't have fun with anything,
What? Oh, hold on.
was like,
are you
Superman
trying to say
does
that I
exist.
fuck mothers?
Bleh. Oh, Jesus, Colin.
You just said literal motherfucker.
Yeah, fuck.
I mean, he could have. Look at him.
At any rate,
Is that a compliment?
Collins,
Yeah,
like,
in a negative tone.
Superman does exist. He's like, yeah, he exists in the real world. That's not what the guy
Okay,
was saying.
the reason why I
My
said
name's
that is
Colin.
because they're saying that it's not a prequel, that they're doing like their own thing,
Yes.
and then they're like, and the Superman might never exist, and it's like,
Yes.
ugh,
Okay.
ugh.
Basically, they're trying to set up the idea that because it's a time travel thing, it's like the Abrams verse Star Trek thing. It's not that they're just back in time. They're back in time and things are changing. So it's now an alternate history.
Similar things can happen, but in a different way.
And it's a new history. They're
because
charting their
because
own course.
Adam Strange showed up, that specifically will
So
slightly
exactly.
could we possibly get a Superman who's evil?
You could,
or none at all. But
and
yes.
maybe
That's
the-
boring if it's not at all.
maybe
Well, it's not
maybe
boring
they'll
because it's 200 years.
Shut up.
past the. Really, is this annoying?
yeah. Maybe
Shut up, Richard. We're trying to talk over here. We're having a meaningful discussion about meaningful topics.
Heaven forbid the host.
Stop
of
it.
Heaven forbid the host of the show
where's
says
that
something.
mute button?
Where's the turn down the suck knob?
Yeah, I
here?
know.
Oh,
Oh God,
there it
I've
is.
been looking for that forever. Maybe they can flash forward and see the way things like at the end of an
Doctor
episode.
actually ate it.
Well, yeah. I mean, I get the sense from some of the trailers that they have their version of, in Back to the Future. It's like the picture, Marty. It's
Yes.
changing. I get the sense that in this show, it's Superman's cape. Like Adam Strange has it brought back, and it's like unraveling, like
Yes.
as they get further and further from the history of what
Superman.
it's meant to be.
Yeah.
I think that's their like visual. It's like the rose in the bell jar. Beauty and the Beast.
Yeah, no, I got it.
Oh, we got that reference.
This isn't Dr. Disney.
Imagine
What would that
a
be like?
Stupid idea that is.
Anyways,
But yes, I am.
how did you feel about that featurette?
I'm still excited for Crypto. I don't think the featurette made me more excited, but
It made me more excited.
the thing that made me more excited was all the Brainiac reveals from a few weeks ago when they like showed
That was cool.
what Brainiac was going to look like in that, because that looked amazing.
For me, it actually seemed. You know what it reminded me of is like it reminded me of Deep Space Nine.
Oh, because Quark is there.
Okay, well, yeah, but
With this gold-plated platinum.
but
That sounds like Super Todd's roommate.
Quark.
Just their
My
they're equally
name's
awful,
Quark.
awful voices equally.
That was nice.
Yeah.
I like that.
No, for me, it felt like just like a sci-fi, spacey,
Yeah.
like it's all contained within the planet. So it kind of reminds me of Deep Space Nine because it was mostly all based
Right.
on that base rather than being on an actual traveling ship.
Sure.
So you're not seeing different places, but you're seeing different people coming in and out. And so
The one thing that we have seen is Kandor bottled.
yes,
There's a city with a well, it might be Kandor bottled or it could be Argo City, but either way, there's a city under a dome, and we know Brainiac is in this show, so I'm excited for
So
that.
that's awesome. And so for me, like I'm actually getting more excited because I'm like, oh, they're really not trying to play off. I mean, Gotham tried to do the same thing, but they're really trying to play off the idea that this is its own separate thing. It's like just the sci-fi motif that happens to also be like around the sort of idea of Superman. And
I'm shooting myself in the foot a little bit by saying that I'm
Wouldn't be the
excited
first
for
time.
that I'm saying that I'm excited for Krypton because I've shat on Gotham for basically the exact same thing, that it's charting its own course, that's not
Yes.
tied to the actual history, and I give Gotham the gears for that all the time.
yeah, but Gotham tried to say that they were never going to
I
like
feel like I was lured into Gotham under false pretenses.
exactly.
And Krypton is being very upfront about what this show is.
Yes.
So I think I'm ready for it to diverge from actual like comic book history.
Exactly, but saying that up front means that it can touch on some things that you may have not have been able to do
Yeah.
before.
What I want to see is Tomar Ray, the Green Lantern of Sector 2813, which is where Krypton is.
Ooh.
Tomar Ray, who did not succeed in saving Krypton, but I want to see if we get any sort of sense that the Green Lanterns are out there.
Like there's
as
a
this-
presence, yeah.
because Krypton, unlike Earth, is a planet that knows
Other planets exist and the
like-
Green Lanterns exist.
exactly. Like they should be aware. So I'd be interested to see if they ever like went that route. And the show seems to have the budget. You could do Green Lantern if you wanted.
Yeah.
So I'd be kind of interested to see that.
I'm super excited for this.
When we were watching that featurette, there's that dome scene where like some of the stuff is inside.
Yeah,
some of
that's
it's
what we were
outside.
talking about.
Yeah. So that kind of reminded me when I was in third or fourth grade. I read this trilogy called like Tripods trilogy. It was like written by John Christopher, and it was really, really cool. But no, it was about how like these like tripods essentially like close in areas
Oh, okay.
and like enslave the human race. And these weird like tripody mechanical things. And as soon as I saw that dome, I was like, whoa.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or was it Stephen King's The Dome?
Yeah, that TV
Oh,
show.
Under the Dome. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and then there was
That's
also
a book originally.
yeah.
Dude.
You said tripods, and I immediately went to both War of the Worlds and Day of the Triffids.
And you're thinking about me, right?
No.
Yeah.
Anyways, now on to the doctor's polls.
Speaking of tripods,
The big.
I don't know what you mean by that.
he's got a big dick.
That's all I've got to say. No. The
Doctor's
big,
mom, I know you're listening.
oh.
Oh, and the doctor's dad. Good job.
Yeah. Like father, like son, am I right?
Mom and Dad, turn off the podcast.
It's too,
Too
late.
late.
Oh, Mom and Dad, go back in time. And stop yourselves from listening to this podcast. Stop yourselves
In
from...
fact, go all the way back.
Yeah.
No, don't go all the way back. I still want to exist, but go a little bit back and discourage me from this interest. Don't let me have this as a hobby.
No,
This
I meant
podcast
just
will
at the
never have
beginning
happened.
of this podcast and not be interested in it.
That too.
Yeah.
We have fun making fun of you, so don't take that away from us.
Oh yeah.
Hey Doc, what have you been reading?
What you been pulling on?
So, Black Lightning issue 5 of 6 is the one that I wanted to touch on today. It finally Black Lightning has come into conflict with Tobias Whale, who up to this point has basically been flooding the streets with like alien weapons,
Yeah.
and deliberately inciting a race war in Cleveland. And he's
Whoa.
kind of like tried to frame Black Lightning for things. He's tried to incite that violence because he wants to basically sell arms to all sides. He's using this as like a way to like arm the cops, arm the crooks,
Wow.
and make a ton of money.
Smart.
Black Lightning and Tobias Whale finally come face to face, and Tobias beats the shit out of him.
Really?
Because he's ready for him. Because he's got this alien tech. He also has tech that negates Black Lightning's powers.
Whoa.
Now, what's been interesting about this series is it's the first time I think that Tobias Whale has been shown to be like black colored. He's always been black in terms of his like ancestry, but Tobias Whale is traditionally albino.
Yes, like in a TV show.
Yeah, and he's albino, and he's usually more like the Kingpin, like just big,
Big dude, yeah.
strong like Kingpin, but just big. But this Tobias Whale is like black and muscular. He looks huge. He looks like the mountain from like Game of Thrones. He's
Oh,
giant.
really?
Yeah. So this is the first time that's been shown. I don't know that I've unpacked yet what that does to the message, to the like mythology of Black Lightning. But it's been a really interesting series. I really like the way it's been going. I like watching Jefferson sort of struggle with sort of his role as a hero in Cleveland. I like just how it's dealing with issues of
It's weird
like,
that
race and police brutality and things like that. It's been a really good series.
It's weird that a paper version of him is more dynamic than the film version.
But here's the thing: there's no Peter Gamby in the comics, so we still can't tell whether or not the comic is a better actor than James Remar.
That's true.
Oh, I think I'm a few episodes behind on the show now too.
I stopped watching.
Oh, you have?
I remember that last
I
one
think
that
I've
I
only
complained
seen-
about.
Up to episode 6.
That last episode that I complained about, that was
Yeah.
the last episode I watched because I couldn't do it. You know what I have
Do you
been
want me
watching?
to keep watching and tell you whether or not it gets better?
Please do, because
I mean, I will keep watching anyway. I'm just behind. but-
because review sites haven't been saying that.
you
it
should
has.
tell him that it gets better and then make him watch it and then watch him suffer as it doesn't get better.
And betray his trust.
Yes.
And then I watch it, and I was just like, "You said it got better," and you're like, "I thought you were talking from like a young gay boy kind of way."
I don't
gets-
even know what you mean by
Do you remember
that.
the it gets better?
Yeah, but what do
campaign?
you mean?
I don't know. I was trying to make a joke and it just didn't land.
God, start a comedy festival, why don't you?
You know what I have been watching though?
What?
Again, Gotham.
Really? Like from the beginning?
Apparently, this new season's really good.
Is it on Netflix?
So sorry, but did you start over, or
Yes.
are you?
So I'm on season 2.
That's where it lost me.
So I'm at the part right now where
I made it to the mid-season of season 2.
that's basically where I'm at.
right.
The mid-season where what's his name shows up, the skinny guy who pretends to be like the billionaire guy who shows up and
Like the mayor.
yes.
Okay, but mid season is further than that.
Oh, okay.
But yes, that guy.
right, that when that guy shows up, basically, and then like they like the So I guess it's like 5 episodes in or something. But
Have you been through like the Maniacs thing where like they?
I haven't gotten there yet.
Okay.
That's when I know it starts to fall apart.
Yeah.
So far I'm okay. But I from what I've been told is that 4th season, this is apparently the new. It's been really good the first half.
So the 4th season is the one that they're currently in,
Yes.
where like young Bruce Wayne is putting on a mask and beating the shit out of criminals.
apparently it's good.
All right.
I'm willing to accept it.
Well, I'll trade you Black Lightning for Gotham. You
Deal.
tell me whether or not I need to get back into it, and I'll let you know.
Okay,
if
I'm
Black
gonna try
Lightning
to
gets
fucking
better.
hold the throw up inside my mouth and not swallow it while I get through the next season and a half.
I mean, okay.
Now, on to this week's theme: birds of a feather. Because
Flock together.
that's a good segue.
Well, it is because we're specifically talking about two.
You were just talking about throwing up in your. Oh, I guess that,
That was
does
me.
make
No,
sense.
the
Yeah.
seg.
Throwing up in your mouth.
Yeah,
and
like a
then-
bird.
Yeah, like a bird.
Like
Yeah,
a baby
yeah,
bird.
There you go.
Oh, that is a weirdly.
That's a great segue.
A weird accidental segue. Specifically, we're going to be talking about two bird-themed heroes, Hawk and Dove. I think like way back in like issue 39 or something, when we come back from our like sort of Christmas hiatus,
Yes.
I said that I got a bunch of Hawk and Dove comics for
That's
Christmas,
right.
and I've been reading through them, and I was like super into it, and I wanted to talk about.
I
Hawk and
do
Dove.
remember that.
And
Yes.
it's taken until now
to finally.
to like set the time aside and actually like do it because they're interesting characters, not often talked about, but they do show up a lot, and sometimes in like critical like roles, like important pieces of DC Comics history. So I thought it'd be fun to, you know, like we've done on certain episodes with Batman or Booster Gold, I thought it'd be fun to hone in on just these two characters and see what we got.
Well, on Facebook, we got a multitude of questions from a slew of different folks.
All right.
Fuck a book.
Oh, that I haven't heard that one.
I know. Yeah.
It's been a while.
That's a throwback.
Chad Bokelman,
A bogle, bogle, bogle.
what is the deal with Hawk and Dove? What's the deal with people asking with what's the deal with?
I don't know.
What's
it's
the
a good.
deal?
They keep popping up, but anytime anyone speaks about them, they can only seem to say bad things regarding their various runs. Maybe they aren't reading the right titles? Why should we care? Doc?
I mean, very vague question, but I'm gonna address
The first one? Yeah. What's the deal with Hawk and Dove?
I'm gonna address.
What's the deal?
Was that Seinfeld in puberty?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
What's the deal with hair on your penis?
Jesus Christ!
It doesn't cover it.
You're a fucking maniac.
It just goes around.
I have a feeling like young Seinfeld wouldn't have asked his mom. I feel like in like the joke comedy world, he would have like asked his rabbi.
No, he would have just kept it to himself. That's the lesson that you learn from all of what, like watching someone. You can't tell somebody about a hairy penis. A hairy penis is a private matter.
What's the deal with cum? It doesn't
Oh,
come, it goes.
That's a weirdly crass, perfect Seinfeld
Yeah.
bit. Yeah. So I want to address.
That's Teenage Seinfeld. If you want more, please let us know.
I want to address first the idea of the good or bad runs of Hawk and Dove, because I do think that Chad's got a point that there's a little bit of a plagued history of these characters of not being written super well.
Hawk and Dove. Good run, bad run. Hawk and Dove.
Going it together.
So I think there's a lot of versions where
Birds of a feather.
they've just been
together.
Okay, oh, for fuck's sakes. I think there's a lot of versions where writers just rehash the same kind of like basic ideas of the character without actually like fleshing them out. They always come back to where their powers come from, which for the record are from technically the Lords of Order and Chaos. Specifically one of each, a Lord of Order and a Lord of Chaos.
Lords of Chaos.
Chaos and order. Don't know which one's coming next.
And I think sometimes it's hard to cut through the noise of these two pieces of mythology to really get at what's interesting. What
He's
people,
calling us mythology.
what people really want to hear. Sometimes you have to like cut through all the bullshit that's happening around it.
Yeah, you tell him, Larry King.
So I think there are runs, including the New 52 run, which just seem to like double back and sort of just reassess like where their powers come from, or like, one of them is the Avatar of War and one's the Avatar of Peace. How will they ever get along? And that is a central like concept of those characters. And so, I think there are lots of runs that aren't written well. But more generally, what's the deal with Hawk and Dove? I've talked about it a little bit. So there are two characters who their roster has changed over time as people, die or retire or whatever. Hawk gets his power from the Lords of Chaos, and he's the Avatar of War. So he's aggressive. He gets super strength and durability and claws and all sorts of things when he says Hawk and turns into Hawk. He doesn't turn into a hawk, but just when he goes into his superhero form.
Kind of hawkish.
Yeah. Dove gets power from the Lords of Order and is the Avatar of Peace.
And she's cream based. Very good for your skin.
She doesn't get the same powers as Hawk necessarily, but she can fly. She also gets like super strength, but she gets like agility and things like that. But the big thing is that their personalities are super opposite. Hawk is aggressive and violent, and Dove is like peaceful and thoughtful. But they're always forced to work together. And essentially, they get their powers from these two specific, a Lord of Order and a Lord of Chaos, named Teratea and Tachar, respectively, who fall in love with each other. And Hawk and Dove are their experiment to prove that order and chaos can work together in tandem, that they don't have to be opposing forces. They can do something good together. So that particular Lord of Order and Chaos have been cast out from their wider circle, and Hawk and Dove are basically their experiment. The original Hawk and Dove were Hank Hall and Don Hall. They were brothers. The current Hawk and Dove is still Hank Hall, and then it's Dawn Granger. It's a female Dove, and they've been Hawk and Dove since like the 90s, basically, or the late 80s.
It's the 80s. We're getting down with the ladies.
Oh, I guess the last part of this question is why should we care? I think we should care because
At one point, one of them switches genders
well,
entirely.
Well, the person doesn't. Like, the Dove isn't a transgender character. It's that the original Dove dies, and then a new Dove is created.
You know what? Doves are just pigeons, right?
Like, actually, like genetically,
They're just albino pigeons.
Yeah, they are.
It's funny that maybe I don't know if there's a question that deals with this, but there are in the mythos of Hawk and Dove. There are lots of
I love the fact
others.
that you're buying this without any real
It's true.
background. No, but hold on. And then I said something about like Cray brothers being these like psycho killers, and you guys were both
Qu'est-ce
like
que c'est?
better. But you guys wouldn't just buy that just based on me.
Yeah, but it's because I said it and not you.
It's because I trust Richard.
Yeah.
God, that's so sad for you.
Well, I don't know very many people in my life.
I'll take it.
What I was going to say is it's funny that you say that Dove is just a pigeon, because in the mythos of Hawk and Dove, there are actually lots of other avatars of War and Peace with different bird names. There's Kestrel, there's Osprey, there's Condor and Swan. There are like all sorts of other bird avatars that get their powers from the same place. So it's funny that you bring up pigeon. That hasn't been one, but it could very well be.
I don't want no pigeon. Pigeon's a girl that can't get no love from me.
Yeah.
So,
right.
Josh Gill has a question.
old Josh Gill.
Let's do it.
Old Gilly.
Ares versus Hawk.
Gill.
Ares versus Hawk. Both are powered by war. Which one would be stronger? Other than the Greek pantheon, or Lords of Chaos difference, how are they different?
Yeah, this is an interesting question. So like I said, Hawk is an avatar of war. Hawk's powers come from the Lords of Chaos, but he basically like channels all of that violence and anger, things that are associated with war, and that's his mindset as well, just as a character and just as Hank Hall. He's violent. He solves problems with his fists as opposed to his brain. Ares is the god of war, and we've talked about this on the show before too. I think godhood in DC means that you actually are the embodiment of something, not just that you're a metaphor for it or that you represent it or even that you get your power from it, but that you are inherently the thing you're the god of. So
Yes,
if you're the god of knowledge, you actually are knowledge. Like knowledge is part of the fabric.
knowledge
of
is
you.
power. G.I. Joe.
So Ares is the god of war, which means he actually is war. And beyond just knowing that from Greek mythology, we have comic proof in the form of when Wonder Woman defeated Ares and became the new god of war, it actually like affected her and affected how she impacted the environment around her. She was basically carrying war with her. And because she refused to sort of indulge it, she was trying to be peaceful. It was actually causing her physical harm because she was denying something that had become inherent to her. So I think I'm building up. You might know where I'm going with this, because I think I'm building up to the idea that even though Hawk is an avatar of war, has warlike tendencies, gets powers that would feed war, Hawk isn't war. I think fundamentally Ares is stronger than Hawk.
Really?
Now, that being said, there are versions of Hawk where he has absorbed other powers, and it's made him incredibly strong, more powerful than Ares. I think we'll probably talk about it later, but for a while, Hank Hall was two different supervillains. He, for a brief period, was a villain called Monarch, which was like a despotic future ruler of Earth. And then he killed Wave Rider and absorbed his chronal power and became Extant, who was a main villain of Zero Hours.
Extant's going to give it to you.
Yeah, I think you made that joke, actually.
God damn.
Extant, I think, is more powerful than Ares, but Hank Hall, just as Hawk, I don't think could overpower or take on Ares. Ares is too pure to the concept of war, I think, for Hank to be able to overpower him.
Yeah, but really, what is it good for?
Absolutely nothing.
Oh, say it again.
Good God. Nobody understands the words that are coming out of your mouth.
Oh my God, that's not even what that's from.
Rush Hour.
You're from Rush Hour. Tyler Van Nosdell.
This whole courtroom's out of order.
What is the whole Hawk Monarch Extant thing, and how did it all happen? The only thing I know about it is that the original Hawk has been all of these people, but how did it happen? And I guess you just kind of...
I briefly touched on it. So there was a series called Armageddon 2001, and in this series, you see a dystopian future that's ruled by this character called Monarch, and you don't see his face, and he's in this big armored suit. And basically, what we know from that future is that years earlier, Monarch had been a hero, had gone bad, and basically had wiped out all of the other heroes.
He was a hero.
Now, I think the out of comic book story of this is that it was meant originally, I think, for Captain Atom to be Monarch. The big reveal was that, the armor would come off and you'd say, holy shit, it's Captain Atom.
Holy crap, it's just one tiny little mouse running that whole show.
But it got leaked. And so at the last minute, kind of apropos of nothing, they made it Hank Hall, or Hawk, who became Monarch. And basically, in the comic, Hawk fights Monarch, discovers that it's a future version of him, kills Monarch, and then the act of killing Monarch drives him nuts, and he becomes Monarch.
Whoa.
And then later on, like I said, Monarch kills Wave Rider, who is this time-traveling character, Matthew Ryder. And he steals his chronal ability.
Sounds like a hot 90s teen TV show.
I mean, it was very 90s.
My name's Matt Ryder. I mean, I don't care about anything.
It was
whatever.
It was Ryder with a Y. So
of course it was,
that's
yeah.
how 90s it was. But when he steals his chronal ability, he becomes the villain Extant, who then was responsible for basically the events of Zero Hour, which was the time crisis where he was erasing all of history. He had teamed up with Parallax to basically destroy all of time and start over. And then eventually the Justice Society are the ones who end Extant. They in fighting him, they insert him into the time stream on a plane that's crashing, and he dies, and Hank Hall dies. But that's the very brief history of Hank Hall. He started as Hawk. He discovered that a future version of him was a villain, killed that one, and then became that villain, which is similar in some ways to what they did with Eobard Thawne as Reverse Flash, where he started just wanting to be the Flash, and then back in time he realizes that he's destined to become the Reverse Flash and his like greatest enemy, and it sort of snaps him, and he fulfills that prophecy anyway. So yeah, and then he becomes extant, and Hank was a huge part of Zero Hour. So that's what I mean, like what I said at the beginning. These are like side characters that every once in a while come right to the forefront of like big events or things like that. And that was one of those moments. Both Armageddon 2001 and 0 Hour sort of center on Hank Hall.
Better Hank Hall than Hank Hill. Back to Chad Bokelman.
Bogle, bogle, bogle.
This has always been relatively fuzzy for me, so bear with me. Hawk and Dove are powered by War and Peace, or, if you want, the Lords of Order and Chaos, which makes their power mystical in some sense. How is that power source different from straight magic? Is it like how Uncle Sam gets his power from America's faith in her ideals? Where does the power come from, and how does he access it, if you know? Hawk and Dove's powers are similarly confusing.
If you know, who do you think you're
He actually
talking
didn't say if. He just said, how does he access it? You know?
I just wanted to really stick
I know,
it
yeah.
to you.
You're trying to sow like discord between me and
I'm trying to sauce it up a bit. Sorry, not sorry, Chad. If that's even your real name, Bokelman.
if that's even your real name. Right. So to address the first bit, it's not different from straight up magic. It is straight up magic. Their powers are mystically based. Now,
it's magic straight up.
like Dr. Fate gets his powers from the Lords of Order.
Dr. Fate.
The difference is just the manifestation of that magic. Hawk and Dove can't like shoot energy blasts.
What about
they don't
Womanfestation, though?
They don't just wield arcane forces, like Dr. Fate does. But their powers come from the same place, and they are still magic. Like those costumes, their danger sense that turns them into their like hero counterparts just happens. Like that's magic. They don't have to like be like, oh shit, I'm in danger, and then like hop around on one foot and pull the suit on.
Meanwhile, crashing into a coffee table, knocking over a lamp,
yeah, tripping over your jeans,
stepping on a cat's tail.
So that
Get it? Because they're birds.
I get it.
the difference is
good.
that they don't do like spell casting, right? So it looks like it's a different type of magic than like Dr. Fate. But I think the idea is just that Dr. Fate channels more magic and actually has a greater degree of control over it. I think because Hawk and Dove are this like experiment by Teratea and T'Char, I think they're only given limited power from that realm, from that sort of magical realm. And that's why that's a difference. The Uncle Sam thing is interesting because Uncle Sam, I guess, is technically fueled by a form of magic. But yeah, like you said, he gets his power from people's belief in the spirit of the American ideal. And if people don't believe in that, then he loses power.
That was already stated in the question. You're just reiterating things.
That to me, though, is more similar to something like Swamp Thing, where he draws his power from the collective power of all plant life. Uncle Sam draws his power from the collective power of belief in America. Hawk and Dove, it doesn't matter if people believe in magic or not. It doesn't matter if people believe in war or peace or not. They still get power. So I do think there's a difference between them that way. I hope that answers it.
All right.
So my nemesis from Instagram is...
No, because the Dr. DC
resurfaced.
podcast will be right back after this.
God damn it.
Quick
God damn it.
break.
Welcome, my friends! The Todd Hour is finally come. We are upon the age of Todd. That's right, this episode of the Dr. DC podcast is brought to you thanks to our sponsor, Great Lakes Grooming Co. Oh, that's right, friends. When you're up in the middle of space, along with your friends in the Justice League, and you are collating, and you are filing, and you are properly organizing paperwork along the floor, you get dirty hair, you get dirty beards. It all happens once you're along the floor and along the muck. These things will happen. So you need beard oils and balms and soaps. Well, your luck is come. Great Lakes Grooming Co. is here. They've got beard balms of many different flavors and smells. Don't eat it though. Todd learned that the hard way. But don't worry. There's also hairstyling creams for use without beards. And those who do not like using soaps, Todd understands. For those chilly days that you're accompanying Superman to his secret place and he may not know you're there and you get chilly lips and they get dry, you want to use this. You want to use the peppermint lime lip balm. Oh, it's perfect for your chapped, dry lips. That's right, my friends. Great Lakes Grooming is meant to be easy and ready to use. Rain or shine. That's right. All their products are purposefully designed and environmentally responsible. Handmade in Canada. Ready for adventure. Much like what Todd does constantly. Go on adventures. Whether it's to the Staples or the Business Depot, many adventures are to be had. That's right. And for you lucky listeners, you can get 10% off. 10%? That's what I made of the Justice League's wage last year. It's a good amount. You get this off of all of Great Lakes Grooming's regular priced products. All you have to do is go to www.greatlakesgrooming.com. Now, I'm not allowed to go to that website because Batman had blocked me from most websites on the internet. So, you'll have to tell me if you get through. But if you use the promo code DRDC podcast, that's one word. That's www.greatlakesgrooming.com, promo code DRDC podcast. You will get that 10% off. You can give it to Super Todd if you want, or you can pass it on. Now, onto the show!
Todd, what the hell are you doing in here? This is the studio.
Wait,
We stepped outside for 2 seconds.
Did you just record the ad?
Wait, the ad needed...
Todd, this is live to air. So help me God if you lose this account for us.
Oh, shit.
Super Todd away!
So,
We're back.
Yeah, we are.
unfortunately.
Why do you do the show?
I don't know, just for fun.
What part is it fun for you?
Tell your face and voice and attitude.
So
Edit point.
Over to Instagram. My nemesis, KCross202.
For
Hey, if they made an award ceremony for Instagram, would it be called the Grammys?
No, that's for music.
I know, but
Like
It'd be
a
called
gramophone?
it'd be called the Instagrammies, because it's much faster to get than it is to get a music award, right? Because this is like the instant.
no, yeah, it's cool.
They'd probably call this the Foodies, because it's photos.
I love drinking Foudies.
Foodies. Photo 1,
So anyway, to our buddy,
Photo 2.
K-Cross 202 for life.
For life.
For life.
KCross, send an email, man.
Nope.
Or-
I like this.
Why are you shitting on
Anyways,
Hey, guess what? He just sent another one in for next week or for 2 weeks from now.
God damn it!
Yeah.
Fucking KCross.
Whenever that next one comes out.
KCross says, I thought they were brothers. When did they change the sex of Dove? We covered this. Moving along.
No,
They were
we
brothers?
didn't.
We did.
We only covered that it changed.
Haha, mofo.
The-
K-Cross 2 for life.
The original Hawk and Dove were Hank and Don Hall. They were brothers. And they were...
And then one dies, and then we got a new one. It's called also Dove.
Oh, yeah? When did it
end.
happen?
Around
Yeah.
1985.
That's actually right.
Seriously?
Yeah, Don Hall dies during Crisis on Infinite Earths.
Sorry, hold on. I got to do this real quick.
Oh, that did not sound
Oh,
good.
that sounded like you shouldn't have done it.
Drop
That
it.
was a mic drop, though.
That was a
for
mic
those
drop.
listening at
Everybody
home.
that's listening.
$200, don't worry.
Colin was accidentally right, though. It was
You
kind of
just
around
make that, so, yeah.
1985, 1986. In Crisis on Infinite Earths number 12, Don Hall is saving people out of a collapsing building, and he's killed by shadow demons. And then for a while, Hawk is on his own. And remember, he's the avatar of war. Dove is the avatar of peace. They kind of serve to ground each other. So without a Dove, Hank goes hyper violent. He's basically like kicked off the Titans. He's like on his own. He's like a violent loner until the new Dove, Dawn Granger, basically convinces him that she is for real, like a Dove, and that they can help each other. And that's an important turning point for Hank because it kind of reins him back in a little bit. He sort of finds some of his humanity again after his brother was killed. Now, there's a mirror side to this, which is that after Extant, which is what Hank Hall eventually became, after Extant was killed and Hank Hall was dead,
So dead.
Dawn Granger's estranged sister, Holly Granger, became the new Hawk. So we went from two brothers in the beginning to two unrelated people, male and female, to two sisters.
I like that.
Yeah. And then during Blackest Night, Hank Hall was resurrected as a Black Lantern, and he killed Holly Granger. And then in Brightest Day, when he got resurrected, he became Hawk again. So we're back to Hank Hall, Dawn Granger, male, female, Hawk and Dove.
Just couldn't handle it.
Yeah. I mean, that's a very abridged version, but basically, we haven't seen Dawn Hall since. He's never been resurrected. And in fact, during Blackest Night, Dawn Hall is the only character that Black Lantern rings were unable to resurrect. And it's because his soul was completely at peace. He had no unfinished business. He really was like the embodiment of peace. He was the avatar of peace. And so he's the only character that could not be resurrected during Blackest Night.
So we have an email here from a very cryptic JJ.
Like Abrams?
And the mails and the
Or is it Jeff
emails?
Jones?
Well, he's a G.
Oh, is it G?
Oh, he's a straight G.
G for life. What about John Johns?
Could be Jean-Jean.
John
Ah,
Johns.
Jean-Jean.
Oh, yeah. French Martian Manhunter.
That's true, yeah.
Jean-Jean.
Jean-Jean.
Wouldn't that be Val Jean Johns?
Val Jean-Jeans. Wouldn't it be great if we could get Val Jean-Jeans to do an ad for us?
Oh, oui, monsieur.
Je suis from Mars.
Oh, you got to it first.
I am the last of the Hunter des Hommes.
Je suis from Mars.
I am a ghost of Mars.
Je suis le fantôme de Mars.
Oh, oui, a fantôme de Mars.
Oh my god. DC execs.
We know you're listening.
And they just stopped.
Jean Valjean.
Jean-Jean.
Sector 2814. This is
Like Les Mis.
this
cross
joke.
with
This
TC.
joke is killing in the Les Mis Green Lantern DC Comics like Venn diagram. We just got a whole new listener. Just one though.
One.
That's it.
That one person who's psyched on all three of those things.
Yeah.
JJ wants to know, I know that they represent war and peace, but do Hawk and Dove actually have any differences in their powers? Or is it only their personalities that are opposites?
So obviously, yeah, one is a hothead and one is very peaceful and thoughtful. Their personalities are completely different. There are some slight differences in their powers. Now, some of their powers they do share. So they have a thing called danger sense where they'll turn into their hero forms.
Highway to the danger sense.
See, I was going to go the opposite way and ask if they could turn back time.
If they could turn back time.
No, they can't. Well, Hank,
What if they found a way?
Hank probably could.
What
as
if they found a
Hank did
way?
find a way when he was extant.
What's the next part of that song?
Whoever gets that far, I don't know.
Yeah, joke's still going. So some of their powers are similar. They have that danger sense. They both get superhuman strength. They both get like agility and sort of like combat ability. Where their powers differ is that Hank, as like an avatar of war and like the muscle, the powerhouse, he gets the powers you would sort of expect, like superhuman durability and healing, and he gets claws and basically like things that allow him to take a hit and to like dole out damage. Those are the sort of powers that he gets. Dove, on the other hand, gets flight. Hawk can't fly.
Really?
Yeah, but Dove can. Dove also has superhuman agility and can, on occasion, channel what is essentially the white light of life. Like if you were to combine all of the colors of the emotional spectrum from Green Lantern,
White light, white heat.
Dove can basically channel that light, and she does during Blackest Night. She's able to repel Black Lanterns by channeling the white light. Hawk can't do that. So those are a couple of differences in their powers, but I mean, those are just like physical manifestations of the more interesting thing, which is that their personalities clash. But yes, technically, they don't have the exact same powers as each other.
We're going to Reddit.
Is that a good place?
It's the best place,
Oh.
and nothing is awful.
Okay, good.
We did it.
Forever.
Yeah, we did it.
It's
We
funny
did
how
it.
the little avatar for Reddit is really, it seems really sweet.
You mean like the little like robot guy?
Yeah, it seems kind of like sweet and like I'm curious about stuff. And then you get into Reddit and it is just a suckhole of nightmares.
Depends where you are, but yeah.
Reddit isn't known for its flowery happiness.
Hey, it's better than 4chan.
Yeah.
What's 4chan?
Please,
Oh my
I
God,
apologize,
Colin.
4chan. I'm sorry.
Anonymous, don't shut us down.
Wait, what's 4chan?
4chan is like, imagine if everyone on Reddit, okay, you know how you feel about Reddit,
Yeah.
where people are pretty, you feel that people are pretty horrible on Reddit.
Yeah, nothing. is
Imagine that in the thing you hate is everyone on the internet playing nice. Then go to 4chan where they don't. If Reddit was the nice version, 4chan is the real internet.
So you know how like
It's every one of the worst, most vile like human impulses.
So it's
is
like
in
the Suicide
4chan.
Squad, but the whole internet is
No,
that
because the
movie?
Suicide Squad are trying to redeem themselves.
No,
4chan's just
I'm
like
sorry.
in the fucking
I was
muck.
talking about
Some-
that terrible movie.
sometimes they do.
Yeah, that's right. I watched it.
Did you actually?
It's fucking horrible.
Whoa.
Sorry, you watched it without us
And
you're just
didn't say
casually-
anything until now.
You're dropping it like 80% of the way through an episode.
Yes.
So you hated it,
I'm not a fan.
but would you watch it again?
No.
Okay.
It was terrible.
Yeah.
It's really bad.
I mean, he's not wrong.
Well, I know, but like
It was really bad.
I watch it a lot,
And, like-
because I kind of
and that's
enjoy
coming-
how bad it is.
That's
but-
coming from somebody who like I actually, and you know, lynch me all you want. I think Jared Leto is a really good actor, and I feel like he shit the bed in the
Oh,
little
yeah, yeah.
bits that he was in that were terrible. Like, and then you hear about some
You
of
didn't
the
like
stories.
his cat purr. His like,
God, so weird and creepy.
Really uncomfortable.
He just and everything was awful. Just it was so bad. It's so bad. And Will Smith is in that.
yeah.
What the fuck?
Will Smith is actually good in that. He's a redeemable
Will Smith
part.
should not be in that movie.
No,
though.
he should not.
It's a bad movie.
Did you?
It's a bad movie. You're a bad movie.
I do want to.
He was in a bad movie. You have to have that on your resume.
Well, he had After Earth.
Ooh.
Still better than Suicide Squad.
That was
I do want to
A
get to
family
these.
thing.
I do want to get to these like Reddit questions, but just very, very quickly, since you've brought up Suicide Squad, do you agree with sort of like what Richard and I have said, that like Will Smith, Margot Robbie, Viola Davis at least are like solid and they're doing their best to try and save the movie?
Yeah, those two are really good. The one that can set himself on fire, whoever the actor is for that guy, he did a really good job too.
El
Actually.
Diablo, yeah.
Yeah, he did. I was really moved by his performance, but just like just a shithole of a movie. Like if that movie were any boat, it would be what ended up at the end of Titanic.
Right. What did you think of Slipknot, the man who can climb anything?
I breezed over that.
yeah. He's very forgettable.
What do you mean? I'll never forget him. At
I
any
mean, his
rate,
made-up character that
we should totally do like an in-depth Suicide Squad comics
Commentary?
and movie like episode.
Yes, okay,
And, yeah,
yes.
possibly commentary. Now that Colin has watched it, but for now, let's go back to the world of Hawk and Dove. Let's go to Reddit.
So Aaron Knight 1 asks, I don't know Hawk and Dove. Who are they and where do they appear?
We really should have led with this. C.
hey, you write him down. I just copy and paste.
Yeah, C earlier. I'll just quickly reiterate. One is the Avatar of War. One's the Avatar of Peace. They get their powers from a Lord of Order and Chaos who fell in love with each other and are trying to use them as proof that Order and Chaos can work together, can cooperate. They were originally two brothers,
Just two brothers.
and then Dove died and was replaced with a new female Dove. And that's
And then
the
it was
current
that
lineup.
one brother and a new lady.
Yep. And like I said, see earlier, we've talked about lots of the different aspects of Hawk and Dove already.
See early.
And then the one brother dies, and then it's two sisters.
Yeah, Colin's retaining information.
Shut up. All right, moving on to the next question. Jay Garrick Flash. If Dove is against fighting and violence, then why is he or she a superhero?
This is an interesting question because Jay Garrick Flash is conflating physical violence with the act of superheroing. And, I mean, he's not...
And the doc is using big words like conflating.
Well, he's not entirely wrong, right? Like, superhero comics are a lot of punching problems. They're not necessarily a lot of, like, talking things out or thinking things through. And it's not a crazy conclusion to have jumped to.
You never just punch your problems away?
Depends what the problem is.
Only when it won't shut up.
That's terrible.
Very
You don't know what I'm talking about.
I can't imagine any version of it that's good.
very
Alarm
dark.
clock. Jeez.
I wouldn't punch that. It's my
Yeah.
phone. I need that.
Oh. Mine reacts. when
And
you hit
also
it.
he has a lame Aquaman cover on it, so you wouldn't want to lose that.
That's true.
Great Aquaman cover. But yeah,
Have to keep two generations old.
I think
phone.
what's important is
It's like, God, catch up with the times.
right.
Always complains about how slow his phone is.
Yeah.
I mostly just complain about how I
Never-
can't get a fucking word in.
Never picks it up.
I know. Seriously.
It's like, God, I tried to call both of you.
Are you gonna do this question or what?
Get fucked.
Can't we just have a plain old aside? Just me and Richard every once in a while?
If Dove, Dove doesn't want to fight, why are they a superhero? I think what's important is bringing back the idea of actually helping people. I think people get distracted when they think of superheroes now. They think of the vigilante. They think of the Batman thing, like, I want to punch a drug dealer in the throat.
I mean, as
Have
fun
you
as that
never
is,
punched a drug dealer in the throat?
But like a real superhero would be one like lifting someone out of a terrible situation as opposed to just like in the grime
Yeah,
beating up someone.
that superhero is helping that drug dealer get rid of all those troublesome drugs they have on their hands and
Not-
collecting money for them.
not really what I meant. Would be like helping the person addicted to drugs. I think Dove is a superhero because you don't actually have to be the one punching someone to save the day. She has got strength. She can rescue people. She can save people. She does fight, although it's important to note she typically doesn't use like offensive fighting, like punches and kicks, but more like I think like a Aikido, like a Steven Seagal kind of thing, where like she'll use their own weight against them. Like they throw a punch at her and she'll kind of dodge, and they'll end up like in a bookcase or whatever. She does like that kind of sort of, I guess you'd call it like passive fighting. She reacts to things as opposed to like instigating them. But she can still do good as a superhero without actually landing a single punch. And I think that's one of the important messages of Hawk and Dove, that one isn't necessarily better than the other. You need both together. Sometimes there are situations that require you have to meet things with strength, and then there are other times where you have to meet them with a bit of intelligence or empathy. And I think that's the overall message of Hawk and Dove, and so that's why it's so important that she remains a superhero in spite of her like aversion to violence.
Maybe she's emotionally violent.
She's not.
Maybe she is though.
Okay, but then what's the point of being Dove?
Because
She's
she doesn't.
peace in every like,
She doesn't.
regard.
She doesn't hurt you with her hands. She hurts you with her words.
But she's peace in every regard.
Yeah. So she's telling you really peaceful stuff and making you regret all the terrible things that you've done with your life. Ergo, emotional violence.
Okay. Well, let's take your pitch here.
It's not a pitch.
What?
It's more of a lob.
Fine.
Soft
Let's
lob.
take your lob here. What does then?
I'm a lobbyist.
But then, what's the difference between them? If they're both basically abusive in some way, then what's the difference?
If she's absorbing abuse and making you feel bad about it.
I don't know that I love that.
No, I was asking you to.
I know, but that feels like a weird thing to pitch. Like, let's have the female character absorb abuse.
Well, she's only female for half of the storyline. The
Well,
first
most-
half, it's a dude.
Actually, it's probably been female for more like 3/4. Dawn Hall Dove didn't last that long.
Oh,
All things considered.
the band broke up and it was just Oates.
He's mostly important because he's dead. Like, it's a thing that motivates Hank. Like, they use that a lot for like Hank's character development is the loss of his brother.
That's sad.
Yeah. At any rate, I think that's why Dove is important. So hopefully, Jay
Does-
Garrick Flash, that answers your
Does
question.
Dawn absorb some of the pain from Hawk?
she does try to like bring him, not by absorbing things or like taking the emotional weight on herself, but I think she does try to like heal. She does try to bring him out of his like violent tendencies a bit. They both sort of.
Is that a personal or professional opinion?
Both.
Okay.
Can't argue that.
I'm so rarely called upon for my professional opinion on this show. I was really taken aback there.
We're not going to backseat the fact that you're a doctor,
Thank you.
allegedly. Still waiting on those credentials to roll in.
Don't worry about it. They're in the mail.
University of Phoenix, huh?
This is episode 49. It's been in the mail a long
It's
time.
actually University of Phoenix. It's an off-brand. All right, who else we got?
Colony of Feels?
I think it says cells. You need
F cells?
glasses, bud.
Oh, I
Jesus.
totally do, yeah. Colony of Cells. Sorry about that. Based on their magical origin, I would guess that they should have the potential to be as powerful as Captain Marvel, Shazam, who now can even do spells like Harry Potter.
I mean, that's a little bit.
Ooh.
That's a little bit of
Well,
exaggeration.
looky-loo.
I think what Colony of Cells is referencing is there was a Justice League comic where Shazam. I mean, we know that Shazam's powers are magical because he channels them from different gods. But he did like just summon
the devil.
No, he summoned a pool table, so he and Cyborg could.
He's just bored, so they
or
wanted
like
to
a
play
ping-
billiards?
Yeah, like literally, because remember Shazam's got the mind of a child.
Right, yeah, of course. And what all kids like to play is billiards.
I think what's
Classic.
interesting in there is that is not really what we think of when we think of the powers of Shazam. It's like summoning random inanimate objects. I think it's technically it would fall under the power of Zeus, where Zeus is a god who can, through lightning, basically has the power of creation.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's still technically a Shazam power. It's not totally out of context. But we sort of touched on this when we were talking about the nature of the magic of Hawk and Dove. I think it's sort of built in that they sort of have limited power. There was a period of time where both Teratea and T'Char, the Lords of Order and Chaos that they get their powers from, are killed by the Spectre. And their whole essence is sort of imbued into Hawk and Dove. But even then, that's only the power of a single Lord of Order or Chaos, not of all of the Lords or of all of that magic. So there is
Or
like
all of the chaos.
well, there is a limit to their abilities, and I think when it comes to magic too, you can also make the argument that because they've been used to only using their powers in certain ways, maybe they have the potential to do more things or cast spells or use magic more broadly, but they've sort of set up their own limits just in their heads because they've never done it before. So now to them, they can only use their magic in certain ways. So I think if you were a creative writer, and this goes back to what I was saying about bad runs of Hawk and Dove, if you were a really creative writer, I think you'd find a way to explore them pushing the boundaries of what their magically based powers allow them to do. I think that's in there. I just don't think they've done it. So I don't think are anywhere near as powerful as Shazam. But maybe they could be with the right sort of writing.
Or the right therapist. So we got a question from R. Mackey88 who asks, why was Dove 2 immune to Blackest Night and the Black Lanterns?
Right. So I mentioned channeling that white light.
Flashlights.
So there are two doves that are immune to the Black Lanterns in some way or another during Blackest Night. The first one I mentioned was Don Hall, who had died. He's the only one that they couldn't resurrect because his soul was completely at peace. So as the first dove, he completely embodied peace to the point that his soul could not be, or even his flesh could not be resurrected.
Yeah, that George Harrison, Hare Krishna thing going on.
I guess.
Yeah, that's pretty rad.
Krishna.
The second dove, Dawn Granger, was alive during Blackest Night,
too,
and
eh?
she would channel the white light of life, which is the opposite number to the Black Lanterns and the Force of Death. To the point where she was dissolving Black Lantern rings and severing their connections with the dead when she was around them.
Because Dove 2 don't take no shit. That's the answer to the question.
Basically. But I think in channeling that idea of peace, you're embracing the value of life. If you're the Avatar of War, you're sort of inherently not doing that. So I think there's a connection there between being completely 100% peaceful and then embracing the value and the power of life. And I think that's why Dove is able to channel the White Lantern energy that way. Maybe there's a specific moment in a comic book that says something slightly different, but I think like symbolically that's the idea of what was happening to Dove during Blackest Night. Yeah.
Cool.
Okay.
It's just time I have to cut out.
Well, I guess we've come to the natural end of our podcast.
The episode.
All right, the episode.
I think we should talk about
What a weird like foreshadowing that'd be if I like died in a terrible plane accident this weekend.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, terrible.
Oh.
And then you'd have to live with that comment and that terrible laugh along with it.
I'll roll those
I'm cool
dice.
with it. Yeah. I think we should talk about the exciting episode that we're having next week.
Can we talk about it?
I think why we should.
I haven't been saying anything because I didn't know.
I think we should talk about it because we can also start getting questions coming in.
Sure. So, our producer Richard, in addition to producing our little podcast, he works on other podcasts a little bit, and also produces this big old comedy festival. And so, through all of those different things coming together, we're gonna have a special guest next week.
Hell yeah, we are. Probably the biggest guest we've ever had.
Yeah.
Wait, how
Yeah.
tall and how large is this person?
He's like 6'4", I think.
so he's the
6'5".
same height as me.
And he
6'5".
has his own
He's really
gravity.
tall.
Wait, is he actually tall?
Yeah, he's super tall.
Oh, wow.
Super tall and super Todd. Same episode, I wonder.
It's
Maybe
gonna happen,
Super Todd
yeah.
will show up.
But basically, who are we getting on the next episode?
We are getting a comedian, podcaster, writer, actor, Kyle Clark.
That's right, Kyle Clark of
From-
the This Is Rad podcast and stand-up comedy. And
If you guys haven't checked out the This Is Rad podcast, though I know we've taken a couple fans from there already.
yeah, totally.
Make sure that you check it out beforehand because this man is very, very funny and you will definitely enjoy his podcast. And he has almost doctor level of knowledge of DC and general nerdy stuff. So,
And I think we're gonna specifically go.
oh yeah,
We're gonna go to a place that I love, and Colin hates so much that he won't be there for it.
Yeah, I've decided to take the week off.
Yeah. I think we're gonna talk about Morrison.
that's right.
So if you have questions about Morrison the man, the writer, or about his work or things that he's created or stuff that he's done for DC,
ideas that he's presented,
Or if you are a general fan of Colin on the podcast and you want to send hate questions, like, what's the deal with this? Go for it. I won't be here to make fun of you for saying that.
this comes from our not Colin.
Yeah. That would be funny.
Yeah.
So we're gonna have Kyle Clark on. We're gonna be talking Morrison. That's
right.
and that's our big 50th episode. So that's
right.
our little anniversary there too.
right.
So yeah, lots of big things coming next week.
It's very, very exciting. So if you want to send in questions for that specific episode, you can go to our various social media accounts, such as
Facebook at,
Dr. DC Podcast,
Instagram at,
Dr. DC Podcast,
Twitter at
Dr. DC,
and our email is.
drdcpodcast@gmail.com,
Don't forget to check out the website.
drdcpodcast.com or .ca.
and you can go to iTunes and maybe give us a 5-star review and what Colin does if you're privy. And also, we're on a bunch of other different platforms. We're on the Google Plays. We're on the Spotify's, which is very, very exciting. We're on all of the different places that you can get podcasts. So
And while I'm away next
We're
week,
on vinyl.
I will be building
So much
a
sweeter
Spotify
sound.
playlist of great songs from soundtracks for superhero movies.
Are you actually doing that?
Yeah, I'm taking some time next week while I'm away to work on that.
that's why he's taking the time off.
It's a heavy undertaking.
Yeah.
It's a lot of vinyl to go through.
We've made it to basically 50 episodes. Colin is finally doing some work.
taking the podcast seriously.
It's happening. I'm looking forward to that.
Listen, I'm still here after 50. Well, I guess it's before 50.
Yeah.
And I've missed a couple.
And you're not going to make 50.
And I won't be here for 50. And also, I might not make it myself personally to 50.
Yeah.
Oh,
But
right.
yeah, send in those questions. Definitely tune in for our special 50th episode.
Well, some kind of sign off.
Adios.
Mes amis, Jean says a farewell.
Jean.
Jean.
Yeah, you fucked that up. That was such a layup.
All the superheroes, they always fight for what is right. Live with danger and adventure.